What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FanDuel Sunday Night Recap. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Josh, John, Luke, and Jay. How's it going, boys?
What up?
What's happening? Some good football this weekend.
Oh, man. One good football this weekend, and then just some other playoff football, you know? There was one close game. The other ones have been a little bit lopsided, it seems like, so far. But, man, I don't even care if it's lopsided. Just having playoff football, one game at a time to focus on, the season on the line, it feels different, doesn't it? Like watching these games just has like a different feel than it has all season.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think you're muted, Josh.
Is it something about that we just don't have fantasy players in these games? So we're just like rooting for a good game, maybe? I don't know.
You can actually enjoy football instead of do I have this guy on this team? Or, I need this guy to get these catches. And yeah.
After that Chargers.
Did you like that transition?
That was very nice.
That was
it was super nice. After that Chargers Sunday night game was the Chargers Raiders, and nothing feels good anymore. Everything is bland.
Everything is bland. Nothing else feels good. Man, I don't know. That Bengals game felt pretty good. That was fun to watch. That was a really fun game to watch. Guys, we have 4 games that have happened this weekend that we're going to run through today, talk about the fantasy implications, about what happened and what's going to happen going forward, maybe some dynasty or redraft implications for next year, and just about what the playoff picture looks like after these wild card games are done. We also have 2 games that we're going to preview tonight, the Sunday night football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we're going to preview the Monday night game as well between the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams. Before we do all of that, though, a quick reminder to everybody watching. If you're watching this, that means you're already on the FanDuel YouTube or Twitch channels. If you're on that YouTube channel, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to FanDuel on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, hit follow. Then after you're done with that, make sure you head on over to their TikTok, their Instagram, their Twitter. They're at FanDuel on all of them, and there is a phenomenal team of content creators there helping you win some money throughout these playoffs. So make sure you guys are subbed across all of FanDuel's channels. Guys, if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this Sunday night game that is going on tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers sneaking into the playoffs off of a last-second field goal by the Las Vegas Raiders, who then promptly got eliminated. So that was a nice little gift to the Steelers. And tonight they are playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
Sorry, go, Josh. Did you have
before we jump in? I'd say this is that's my mom, so I just want to say hi, Mom.
Hey,
hi,
Mom.
Hi,
Slick Vic.
Welcome in.
Oh yeah, Slick Vic. What's up, Slick Vic? Slick Vic.
Also, we got Craig in here saying
Josh acting like he already knew. It's like, oh yeah, Slick Vic.
Oh yeah,
good to see you there.
Me and Slick Vic go way back. Didn't know you guys knew each other, Jay. We got Craig in here saying the Cowboys are making me sad. Cheer me up, FYF fam. We'll do our best, but we're gonna have to talk about the Cowboys. So we'll give you a warning before, and then you can jump off.
They just hit a field goal.
There you go.
There's
So it's
slime all
something.
in
Thanks for ruining it for me, Josh. You must be ahead of me.
Ravens football, welcome in. Let's go.
Ravens
And Maria
football?
said, Craig, you're a Cowboys fan? She can't believe it. You don't give off the Cowboys fan vibes, apparently.
Too nice.
We got Joey in here said, you guys should see the blocks these referees are setting for the Niners. Are they setting some good blocks out there? I must have missed it. And Kev, what's up? Bird up indeed.
Bird up.
And Craig saying, I am Maria since I started watching back in the day. Craig's a lifelong
You're
Cowboys
Maria?
fan.
I thought you were
it
Craig.
Sounds like. Yeah, Craig has been Maria since he started watching back in the day. That really changes that sentence.
That's terrifying.
I like it better as a Cowboy fan.
What?
Starting to give off some U vibes if we change that sentence.
Grammar, Craig. Grammar is important.
Justin, what's up? And Josh, you have some lines for this game tonight.
What up, Justin?
Absolutely. So the Steelers are 12.5-point underdogs to the Chiefs at home. The Chiefs are at home. Oh, man. So the over-under is 46.5 points. So it's a 46.5-point total. Honestly, I can't take the Steelers here. I hope it's a close game. We deserve a good game in this playoffs. But if I had to predict the score, I'm going to go with Chiefs 31, Steelers 14.
Man, I can't take the Steelers either. Like 12.5 is a really big line. Just the Chiefs have been clicking to end this season. It seems like I know they had that late season loss, but I'll take the Chiefs as well. And Josh, I like your score. Maybe I'll go 34-13 for the final score.
Okay, so that would put you actually, which is interesting, above the over and me slightly below the over. So we're both hovering around that over-under, which makes a lot of sense. So if I had to choose, I'd go with the under, but I don't feel extremely confident about that one, honestly.
It's a really good line. JL, where are you going here? Are you taking
I wouldn't touch this game at all. I would never touch this game. Are you kidding me? I think, I can't even pick a side.
12.5 points
spread. Yeah. Oh, my God. And then even the over-under, it's like the Chiefs could just absolutely go off and carry the total. Yeah, they can score it, but I could also see this being just a very low-scoring game. So I am not going to make predictions on this one.
All right. I'm out. Screw you guys. I'm not saying it. Jay, what about you?
Give me Steelers. I think 12.5 points. I think Big Ben, I don't think they're going to win, but I think 12.5 points is a lot. I think they're just going to let it fly. Juju's back. Who knows if he's going to be able to do anything, but got an extra weapon. Najee was taken off the injury report. So I think they're just going to let it fly with Big Ben. It's probably his last game in the NFL. So open things up. They may be aided by some garbage time at the end. Who knows? But I think they can cover the 12.5.
Fine. If you twist my nips, I'll take the Chiefs. All right. Stop asking.
All right. Can we make it a little gentleman's?
Make it a gentleman's.
3v1. Suck it, Jay.
You and Jay?
He froze, so that means yes.
That's a yes.
That's a yes. That's a yes.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna write on the board when the
Let's do it.
things get right on
Let's
the board.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's do it.
The board means it's for real. Craig in here saying, JL, of all people, should know I am Maria. Yeah, JL, come on.
I don't know what that means, and it scares me.
You haven't picked up on that yet?
I'm getting scared. Let's be honest. I'm getting scared.
Justin in here wants to know Mahomes stat line prediction. So, guys, I went ahead and pulled up some of the player props that we have from the FanDuel Sportsbook just to look what they're thinking. And right now, they've got the over-under for Mahomes passing yards set at 280.5. 280.5. Would you guys be taking the over on that or the under, Josh?
280.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a high over under. There's and the Steelers have a good defense. Their defense is what could keep them possibly in this game. I mean, it's a good over under. If you twisted my arm like you twisted JL's earlier,
you did not twist it.
He twist his arm.
My arms are fine.
Twist his arm.
I'll take the over because I think the Chiefs, to win this game, they're going to pass the ball a lot, honestly.
Josh is like, I am not going to say nips on YouTube.
Yeah. You cannot force me.
You're not twisting my nips.
Oh, he did it! Jordan, welcome in. He said, sup, Cav, and then sup, boys.
What up,
Thank
Jordan?
you for acknowledging us. I really appreciate there. Josh, were there any other player props for this game that you found interesting or was
Oh no. I didn't have
no, you're good. You're good there. Guys, on the other side of this ball, so I was actually surprised by this. They've got Ben Roethlisberger at 232.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So Jay, do you think that's a reasonable line? Would you be taking the over under on that? I know you were the one who was the highest on the Steelers offense today. That they could
let's be clear. This isn't me that I'm not super high on the Steelers offense. I just think 12.5 is a lot. Yeah, I do. I can't help it. I'm sorry. No, you know what? That's so tempting because it's so low, but I can't trust Big Ben's arm. I can't to put money on it. If you had to twist my nips, and I would go with the other.
I would take the under on that one, I think, but it is close. Before we move on to the games that are going on today or that happened already today, guys, I did want to bring up, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire is officially out for this game, right? We've seen that he's not going to be playing. Can someone confirm that? I believe I saw that.
He's out.
And then
that's the case.
Darrell Williams is expected to play. I know he's listed as a game time decision, but he got 3 practices in this week. Do you think that hinders this Chiefs offense at all? Or from what you've seen from Darrell Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out, are you fully confident that it's just going to keep on humming?
It makes me more confident in the passing game, if anything, because I think Darrell Williams is a really good receiving back, which, it adds to Patrick Mahomes' value. So you asked the question about the over-under for Patrick Mahomes. It only makes me the more confident, honestly.
Just makes him a little bit more confident.
I like CEH, but there hasn't been a difference when he's been out of the lineup. Darrell Williams has played fine. Derek Gore has come in and played fine. So I think the Chiefs are absolutely fine.
Yeah, and if the Chiefs do win this game, then they will be heading to play the Cincinnati Bengals next. With how the seeding is going to break down here, I believe, right? The Chiefs and the Bengals will play no, I could be completely lying there. I don't know. I'm trying to do math quickly, and I forgot which number was bigger. So ignore everything about what I just said because I forgot how to do numbers.
Darrell Williams is expected to play.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Guys, does anybody else have anything on this game before? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was saying, and Jimmy G did just get picked.
Uh-oh. Man, on the 49ers, I think that might have been the team I underestimated the most heading into this playoffs. Like watching them play, they just, I counted them out. I counted them out, didn't even consider them as an option to kind of make the championship game. But they're looking pretty good. I think they've got a shot. They've got a tough path, right? If they win this, they got to go through the Packers. But they're looking good out there today. We're going to go ahead and pull up our next game, guys. Our next game.
I will say real fast on that pass game. Looking through the player props, I actually like Najee Harris over 21.5 receiving yards. I think the Steelers are going to do whatever they can do to win this game. And I think they're going to get into their best players' hands. That includes Deontay Johnson, but I think they're in a lot of screens to Najee Harris, a lot of throws to him, over 21.5. I know he's been hovering around that all season, but I truly believe he gets over.
Yeah, I'm with you, Josh.
Let's go.
Also, thank you, Albert. You are 100% right. So if the Chiefs win, they will go on to play the Bills, and the Bengals will play the Titans after the reseeding. So you are 100% correct there. My apologies, guys. This next game, though, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals coming out on top 26-19 in this one.
Yes. And again, Simon, you kind of alluded to it coming into this, but this was the best game we've seen so far in Wildcard Weekend. Hopefully, we got 2 more games to live up. There's a game being played right now. I don't want to count that game out of it. It's 23-10 right now. Yeah, Dallas has the ball, so we're not counting that game out of it. But this was a really good game. The Las Vegas Raiders, it came down to the wire. They had the ball. They could have came back and won the game, but it didn't pan out for them. I think Cincinnati looked like the more dominant team throughout. Personally, I didn't think the Raiders looked like they really ever stood a chance, even though, look, it could have came down to the last play of the game, right?
And it's Whistlegate. You got to consider Whistlegate.
I know.
Man, that was so blown out of proportion, man. Like
here's
that
how
whistle didn't have any effect on the play.
How I feel about it is technically the right call would have been for them to blow the play dead after they blew the whistle, but that would have impeded like the flow of the game so much more than the wrong call that they did make, right? Like it would have messed with like the outcome of the game more than them just letting that play stand.
Yeah, if you're not aware of what we're talking about, there was a play in this game where it was a touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd, and a referee erroneously blew the whistle before the ball had reached Tyler Boyd, but they let it stand as a touchdown, which is technically against the rules, but controversial nonetheless.
Very controversial.
Very controversial. Very controversial. Someone else say
very controversial.
It was controversial. I heard.
It was controversial.
Anyway, the Bengals won. They're moving on in the playoffs. The Raiders lost. They're out of there. They're going home. But at least they get to go to Vegas, right, guys? Anyway, from a fantasy perspective, Derek Carr, he has 1 year left on his contract. Let's not get into fantasy actually quite yet. I know they're discussing bringing him back on a new contract, right? He's still signed through next year, but the new coach is really going to determine what this looks like. Do you guys think Derek Carr is the future or can be the future for the Raiders still? Let's say the next 5 years. Is Derek Carr the quarterback for the Raiders? Jay, I want to ask you first.
I think he should be. I think he's proven that he's a great leader. All the different things. I won't go through the list, but to say that the Raiders have been through the ringer this year with off the field issues would be an understatement. And they still made the playoffs. He's got the respect of the locker room, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and I just think there's been too much talk of him moving on. So I do think that he will wind up somewhere else, and I've got no rhyme or reason to say this, but I've got this weird feeling he's going to wind up the quarterback of the New York Giants next season. I've got this gut feeling that that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
okay. Let's say
PTSD,
that happens. I think. Let's say that happens, Jay. How does that make you feel as a Giants fan?
I prefer him over a guy like Russ because I don't think it's going to cost as much in draft capital to get him, and we're not a year or two away. We're multiple years away, and I think he's got plenty of football left in him. So it's not the route I necessarily want to go, but I would be okay with it. It can't be worse than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and this isn't really known as a quarterback-loaded draft class either. Right. So it's not like you can't completely believe that someone's going to be able to take over the franchise in this draft class. But yeah, I agree. Derek Carr is probably better than Daniel Jones. What about you, Simon? Do you think Derek Carr is the quarterback for the Raiders in 4 years? Let's say 4 years.
Well, 4 years is a long time. A lot can happen.
Yeah, I know.
But I think they give him another contract. Like, that's where I land. I'm not going to say he's the quarterback in 4 years. Shit can go down. He could retire. Yeah. Like, you never know. But I think he will get that next contract with the Raiders. I tend to go the path of least resistance. He's done well. They made the playoffs in a year that probably they shouldn't have, given all of the off-the-field issues that Jay mentioned. This was a really tricky season for them to navigate, and they still made it into the playoffs with a big win to end the season, right? I think Derek Carr is at least the near future for this Raiders franchise. I like, quarterbacks are hard to come by. They are, and one of Derek Carr's caliber is not something you can just find. You can't just go, okay, we'll get one better than Derek Carr. Like, there's 10 teams in the NFL with worse quarterbacks than him. It would just be shocking to me to see them move on.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think he's at least an above average NFL quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Right, JL?
Yeah. I would say above average. I wouldn't have said that coming before this season.
Really?
I think he showed a lot. Yeah, no, I've been historically down on Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
I think that most likely, I mean, they have secured a top 24 pick in this year's draft. Like you said, it's not a quarterback heavy draft. I think the most likely outcome is that they stick with him for a year, see how he does under whoever the new head coach is, and then reevaluate then.
Yeah. I think that's a very likely possibility. I agree with you. Oh, what if he goes to the Saints?
It weirdly makes sense.
It does.
I kind of think Jameis Winston's their guy. They played well with Jameis Winston. As long as they can play really good defense and they have Sean Payton, who's very creative on offense. They were winning with Jameis Winston.
Yeah. But why can't I picture Derek Carr in a Saints jersey so easily?
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Like, sometimes I can't picture it, but I just see it. I see him on the field running that offense now.
I've got this weird feeling. This is all random, but Jameis goes to the Steelers. That's my off-season prediction.
Please do it. Do it.
Maria said we all know Simon likes Derek Carr. Yes, he does. Yeah, you said he was the most handsome guy in the NFL at one point.
Oh, he is very handsome. That is a very handsome man. I don't think he's the most handsome.
Darren Waller, eyebrows.
Darren Waller is way more handsome
just like
than
Raiders. You're just like people in black.
Yeah,
the jerseys are sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the jerseys is what it is. What it is. It's just people wearing the jersey signs like, wow, so handsome.
Hey, I have never said Hunter Renfrow is one of the most handsome guys in the NFL, and I will not. He's just a normal guy.
Plays Legos.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks like he plays with Legos.
Anyway, so it seems like we all agree Derek Carr is a valuable quarterback to have on your NFL team. Now, let's move on to Josh Jacobs here. He had 13 carries, 83 yards. He caught 4 catches, and he's been more and more involved in the receiving game. It's great to see because this is what we've wanted to see from him since he's been drafted. He's been in the NFL for 3 years now. The last 3 years, his rookie year, he was the 21st highest scoring running back in a PPR league. He was the 8th highest scoring running back last year in 2020. And this previous season, 2021 season, he was the 11th highest scoring PPR running back. Is this guy? He seems undervalued to me at this point. I think Josh Jacobs is undervalued, guys. What do you think?
I think the reason is because he doesn't have that top 3 ceiling. Know what I mean? Like, I think when people are drafting these first round backs, a guy to be their RB1, they want someone with that, like, could finish as a top 3 guy overall. And Jacobs probably isn't that. He's going to be a back end RB1, most likely to finish the year. He's had some higher finishes, like you mentioned, but I feel like the perceived ceiling isn't there. But I agree with you. He's undervalued in redraft formats for sure.
Yeah. So
where was he being drafted? I was going to check.
Yeah, let's play a game.
Before we do, he's being drafted as the RB18, by the way.
RB18.
He's being drafted currently in like dynasty leagues as the RB18.
No, coming into the season and redraft RB18.
Gotcha. Yeah. You think he gets drafted above that next year?
I think he should. I think he belongs slightly higher. I would put him probably in the 13 to 15 range.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, I had to double and triple check, but the numbers say that Josh Jacobs had 54 catches this year. I did not realize he had that many catches.
Those are David Montgomery numbers.
That's the 5th overall. He chipped in 348 reception yards. He didn't catch a touchdown, but 54 catches, that's a significant number. Kenyon Drake went down with an injury. He had over 30 catches. So, I would love to see, and he is going to be back too. So that's the only thing is Drake will take some of the receiving work away. But you know what? Honestly, before I looked that up, Josh, I was going to say he's not, but that's a lot. I mean, the only players that had more were DeAndre Swift, Leonard Fournette, Najee Harris, and Austin Eckler. So, I'm with you. I got to say, I do think Josh Jacobs is a little underrated going into next year.
Well, how about this? In a dynasty league, would you rather have Josh Jacobs or Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Jacobs.
Jacobs?
I feel a lot safer. I think the ceiling for Edwards-Helaire in that offense is probably a little bit higher, but I feel so much safer with what we're going to get from Jacobs. Edwards-Helaire is replaceable. We saw it this year. And so I'm going to go Jacobs here.
I may go Jacobs as well, guys.
I'll go CEH. It's very close though.
Yeah,
that's a good one though, Josh. That was a good name.
I got two other names.
Okay.
Travis Etienne or Josh Jacobs.
Well, you don't have to ask JL. You already know what he's going to say.
No, he's made a kind of grumpy face.
I am going to go with Josh Jacobs myself, just because of the unknown factor with Travis Etienne. Yes, he has some years on him, but these are proven years. It's only 3 years with Josh Jacobs, and he hasn't been worked like a workhorse running back yet either, which is, I think, great for his durability and his outlook going forward in a dynasty league. So I wish we had seen something from Travis Etienne this year.
James Robinson looking like a stud again this year on a really bad offense has made this a hard decision, right? I was in the camp
tore his Achilles though.
Did tear his Achilles, so man, I'll go Etienne still, but it's very close. I'll go Etienne.
I'll go Etienne as well.
I'm going to go with you, Josh. I'm going to go Jacobs. I'm thinking if I have Jacobs and somebody offered me Etienne straight up, I would have a really, really hard time pulling the trigger because of the unknown. Yeah. I definitely agree that Etienne has the much higher ceiling, but give me Jacobs.
And Craig saying Josh taking Josh after bashing Josh in his weekly picks. What a ride!
Josh. I love the guy. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Craig. One more name though. One more name. Last name, J.K. Dobbins.
That's Josh his full name, not just his last name.
For me, this is where I switch to the other side, and I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins.
It's Dobbins. I'll take Dobbins as well.
Yep.
Dobbins.
All right. Yeah. All right. So there it is. There it is.
That one is tough right there. And I was looking it up, guys, because I was just curious. Especially whenever you said Kenyon Drake went down with an injury and Josh Jacobs had more receptions than we thought he was going to have. And I said David Montgomery, kind of joking, but it really reminded me of last season with David Montgomery. Whenever Tariq Cohen went down with the injury, all of a sudden he steps into this pass catching role. Do you know how many receptions Montgomery had last season?
The exact same number?
Exact
54,
same number as Josh
exact
Jacobs.
Same number. 54. The exact same number of receptions.
Nailed it. Knew it.
I wanted to say it too. Like the enthusiasm you said it with. Like it was just like, oh, this got to be good.
It's either the same number or like one off.
Do you know how many he had this year? Even with missing some time, right? He missed some time. Other players were healthy coming back in. He showed he had that skill set, but it was 42. It was still a large number of receptions for a running back. He still had 42 receptions. Maybe Josh Jacobs showed this coaching staff like, hey, look what I can do in the receiving game. You guys haven't been using me this well like this.
Look what I can do.
Look what I can do. And they're obviously not married to Kenyon Drake in that backfield. I have a feeling we're going to see an uptick in receptions. Maybe not as many as this year, but the previous 2 years for Josh Jacobs next year. I think this might be here to stay.
Yeah, I love it. Darren Waller played this game. He had 12 targets, 7 catches, 76 yards. You'd love to see Darren Waller back in the lineup. Now, Darren Waller right now is 29 years old, but I would say he's fresher than a lot of other players because he didn't play a lot earlier in his career. I have one question for you. Straight up, Darren Waller or Dallas Goedert in a dynasty startup draft? You're in a dynasty startup draft right now. You got to make this decision. Simon, I see your
Waller.
hand raised.
It's Waller.
Yeah, it's Waller.
JL, Waller.
It's yeah.
The difference for me is the offense that he's in. The Eagles are run first, run second, and run third offense. So you can't trust the volume. While he's probably here towards the end of the season, and you saw it today too. He was Jalen Hurts' go-to, but you just can't trust the volume.
Yeah, and if with Zach Ertz leaving this team, I kind of really hope to see Dallas Goedert catapult himself up into that upper echelon of tight ends this season. And I didn't see it. Like, had he done a little bit more, maybe I would have said him over Waller because the age is better. You're right. Everything on paper looks like it should be Dallas Goedert in a dynasty league, but Waller's still got at least 2-3 years left in my eyes of elite levels of production. I'm going to go Darren Waller. I wish I could say Goedert here, though.
I have a feeling, too, that Goddard's going to be drafted at his ceiling and Waller's going to be drafted at his floor going into next season. People, they hold grudges against guys who disappoint them in fantasy, and Waller disappointed a lot of people this year. There's going to be so much hype around Goedert. So you just got to be careful where you're taking these guys.
So what's up, Bam? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Jay, on that note, I think something people need to look at whenever they're looking at Waller's season. So he went down injured. Look at the success Hunter Renfrow had with the volume he received in that offense, right? And a lot of that was with Waller out. Now he's been good even with Waller back in as well, but I'm saying a lot of that production, a lot of that volume is going to go back to Waller whenever they're both on the field, and he'll step right back into what we're used to seeing him do.
I got a question for you guys: Is seeing how Renfrow played with Waller back in, do you think Renfrow is an off-season sell high?
I mean, he still had 8 catches. So I'm not sure.
I know, but I'm just saying
he still had 8 catches, Jay.
Well,
if you can sell Hunter Renfrow as a top 20 wide receiver, what he finished this year? He was 11th in PPR over a wide receiver. If you can sell him as a top 20 dynasty wide receiver, I'm selling. I'm selling.
Oh, man. Hunter Renfrow finished as a wide receiver 1. That is awesome. That's incredible. I'm with you though, Josh. If you can get top 20 value, but if you're getting less than that, I'm not trading. You don't have to trade him.
Don't give him away. No.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Right. But capitalize on the hype.
Worth noting too that the whole Derek Carr conversation that we had earlier in this stream applies here, right? Like that connection might not be the same if it's a different quarterback.
Yeah.
In fact, it will be very different.
Though I feel like Hunter Renfrow is the kind of player that is like a new quarterback in a new system's best. He runs clean, quick, crisp routes. You know where he's going to be. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of player that is a quarterback's best friend as they're learning a system. But I agree with you, JL. If the quarterback is Kenny Pickett and he comes in struggling as a rookie, it doesn't matter.
You throw Hunter Renfrow in the Giants, like you're gonna have some issues.
Yeah.
No offense, Jay. Love you.
But your Giants
truth hurts. It's the truth, though. You don't have to tell me. Trust me.
Jay, what was the trivia question that you wrote for our show the other day? Who had more? What was higher, Cooper Kupp receiving touchdowns or Giants passing touchdowns?
Passing touchdown, and Cooper Kupp had more receiving touchdowns. Not a single Giants receiver had more than 50 catches. Yeah, it's bad.
Albert did have a question for us. He said Knox or Goedert in Dynasty.
Goedert.
Goedert. Josh, what about you?
I'll still go with Goedert. I'm as high as anyone on Knox. Maybe they're in the same tier, but I'm going Goedert here.
Jay?
That is tough. Coming into the season, you would have never thought it would have been, but I still have to lean Goedert. I think he's got more talent.
Man, but you got to look at situation too, right? It's pretty rough situation for Goedert and Dynasty, and Knox. That's about as good of a situation, I think, as it can get being a part of that Bills offense. I'll take Knox, but it's very close. I'll take Knox.
The thing, there's talk that that Buffalo could go out and add an additional a secondary option. Right now Knox is the number two pass catcher for this offense. So if they add a talented wide receiver, possession wide receiver to go on the other side of Stephon Diggs, then you have to knox his value down a little bit.
I'm
so bad. Boo. Yeah.
You're in timeout.
Right, get him out of there.
He's doing this down in the the lobby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move over to the Bengals side of the ball. Joe Burrow, he was impressive. You know, he just did everything he needed to do to win this game, and he did it with so much swagger.
The most
Joe
swagger.
Burrow. I'm pretty sold. I'm pretty bought into Joe Burrow, paired with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for the foreseeable future. Here's a fun question, though, guys. Going into next season, we're talking about quarterbacks you would draft. Would you draft Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert at this point?
I knew you were going to ask that question. I knew
it's a great question. It's a great question.
It is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Herbert, personally, I think maybe he's a little bit more, I'm not going to say talented, but he's shown me more on the field personally. But Joe Burrow, I think, has a little bit better surrounding cast, maybe. But who's to say? I mean, Herbert's got weapons too. Keenan Allen, Austin
Mike
Eckler.
Williams.
Yeah.
Like
Mike Williams is a free agent, though. Mike Williams might not be back.
That's true.
That is true. I'll go Herbert though. Josh.
Joe Burrow. I'm all in on Burrow.
Mm-hmm. I am going to go with Justin Herbert.
And I'm going to bring up a stat that I brought up on the show earlier this week. There are only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL that threw the ball 30 or more times a game every game this season, and that was Justin Herbert and Tom Brady. So I think that's how this offense wants to run, through Herbert exclusively. And Austin Eckler's a part of that game plan, right? He's one of the best pass-catching backs in the NFL, a quarterback's best friend. Joe Burrow's excellent, but I got to go Herbert. Joe Burrow's probably
one
right
person
after
that hasn't answered. JL.
It is me, and I'm gonna go Burrow. It's Burrow for me. It is very close.
So did we have 2 Herberts and 2 Burrows here?
2 Herberts, 2 Burrows.
That just shows how close it is. What kind of what do you?
It's gonna be on the board all year.
It's like whoever gets drafted. So here's a question for you: who do you think will be drafted higher going into drafts next year?
No, that's a great question.
Are you staying with your choices here?
I do think Herbert will be drafted higher.
Okay. I don't know. Burrow's, if he keeps playing this well, well throughout the playoffs.
If they make it to the AFC Championship, then, like you said, that hype definitely
a good point,
bleeds into the next season. So
I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think that's the correct answer. If they have a nice little playoff run here, that's going to be fresh in everyone's minds. Joey B is going to be hyped through the planet. That's a great point, Jay.
Yeah.
And Jordan in here taking Justin Herbert, unless he's just saying Justin in the chat for no reason. But I assume that means Herbert as well.
Justin Herbert.
This Cowboys 49ers game, it is getting real right now. It's 23-17, a minute and 56 seconds left. Cowboys have the ball on the 20, I think.
Cuckoo-ca-choo. Oh, man. All right.
I love football.
Football's great.
Don't we all? We beat this horse to death. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
Well, I didn't beat
wide receiver 2. Shut up. Not joking. I'm joking. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 dynasty, right? They're in a tier of their own at this point. Maybe CeeDee Lamb in that tier.
I was going to say, I think CeeDee Lamb would possibly belong in that tier as well.
I don't just real quick. Who are you putting number 1? Just do it.
Justin Jefferson, and there's the primary reason being there are 2 dynasty wide receiver 1s on the Bengals offense. T. Higgins, I also have as a top 12 dynasty wide receiver, along with Jamar Chase. So there's just a little bit more competition over there. Justin Jefferson, it's him and Adam Thielen. So I'm going to go Jefferson. Talent's comparable, but the Jefferson just edges him out barely.
Jamar Chase. I'm going Chase. I think been a little contrarian tonight, but I just we don't know who the quarterback is going to be next year. There's talks Kirk Cousins could be out the door. Although yes, there is competition with T. Higgins.
What?
Thanks, Simon.
If it goes out the door, it's pretty cold in Minnesota.
It's pretty cold in Minnesota.
Just ask Scott finishing
pictures of all the snow. But T. Higgins being on the other side, I think is a positive. They're not going to be able to just focus all the defense on the Jamar Chase because there is another viable option on the other side of the field. Adam Thielen goes out the door. KJ Osborne's okay, but is he enough to draw the defense's attention away from Justin Jefferson? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have that connection since college. It's obvious on the field. So it's splitting hairs. I would be perfectly fine with either one of these guys, but those little things just give Jamar Chase the nod for me.
These are the kinds of players, though, that I put on a talent level with like a DeAndre Hopkins, where I don't give a shit pardon my language. I don't care at all if they're double, triple teaming them on every play, they're going to get the production. Like, these are the kinds of players that the quarterbacks will trust to throw the ball to in double coverage, and they're going to go up and make a play. So for me, it really is just a volume thing. I don't care if Justin Jefferson's the focal point for opposing defenses. He's good enough to overcome that. And without T. Higgins on the other side, I think he's going to get more targets. So that's it. But I get what you're saying, Jay. I put these guys a tier up in talent level, like where DeAndre Hopkins, we never 100%. Said like, he's going to get double teamed every play, because it didn't matter. He was getting every target and he was good enough to beat double coverage.
I will say one thing. Justin Jefferson is my choice, but I really hope Kirk Cousins stays with Justin Jefferson. I hope they don't try to experiment with something.
Hopefully he doesn't have to go outside.
And I want to put Jamar Chase 1, just so we're clear. Like, every fiber of my being wants him at 1. I love watching that dude play.
So this is my last question about this game. It involves Joe Mixon, and it's just against one other guy. Joe Mixon in Dynasty versus Dalvin Cook. Who would you draft in a Dynasty startup first? Would you draft Joe Mixon or Dalvin Cook? And I'm going to come to Simon first.
Well, that's
you on the spot.
That's a tough one that you just gave me,
How about
Josh.
this? I'll tell you what I would do. I'm drafting Joe Mixon.
I'm just trying to – man, I feel like with the way this Bengals offense looked this year, like the main thing holding Joe Mixon's value back was the low-value offense that he was in, right? I think I'd go Joe Mixon. I love this Cincinnati offense now. It's humming. It looks so fantastic. Jail's making a shocked face like the Cowboys just scored or something.
Fourth and 11, Dak on a scramble, threw it and to Cedric Wilson, like 30 or 40 yards. Cedric Wilson tripped up and did not get it.
Oh no! But was he open? Like, was it going to be?
He was sort of open. Like he was. If he had kept his footing, he would have been open.
He would have had a shot at the ball.
He wasn't wide open. There was a defender there.
Going into this game, I took 49ers +3.
Nice.
It might just work out for you, Josh. That might just work out for you.
Let's go.
I'll go Joe Mixon.
Game.
Jay, give me it.
I'm Joe. You know me, Josh. Me and you.
Yeah, Joe Mixon.
We love us some Joe Mixon.
We love us some Joe Mixon. JL, are you on the other side?
I'm going down Cook here.
All right.
I'm going down Cook. I do love Joe Mixon.
Nerd.
Have loved Joe Mixon, but I'm still going to go down Cook. He's only a year older than Joe Mixon.
Ageist.
Fair enough.
Reverse
we had one person.
I prefer olders.
Olders. Don't call them olders.
I prefer olders.
Please never say that again.
I prefer olders.
Jay, you're our favorite. You're a favorite older, Jay.
Don't you dare say it, Simon.
Jay is our resident older.
All right, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys later.
So that's pretty much everything on this game.
Pretty much everything. And guys, like we said before, that was our closest game of the weekend until right now. But up next, this next game that happened yesterday is not nearly as close.
I told you, don't count it out.
The first one was the Bills taking down the New England Patriots 47-17. And honestly, this score is not even showing how much of a blowout this was. This is not representative. This looks closer than the game actually was.
It was gross.
Big summer blowout.
Big summer blowout. It's Mr. Winter. Summer somewhere.
Right? Sorry. The Frozen got me.
Before we get started, Albert, and you're saying Devin Singletary, Dynasty wide receiver 1.
We'll be talking about Devin Singletary. Don't you worry about it. Well, Bills came into the game as a 4.5-point favorites, and needless to say, they covered that pretty easy. Over-under was 35.5. The Bills covered that pretty easy by themselves as well. There's no doubt the Bills exercised 20 years of demons last night, as our buddy Jeff Bell said. Congratulations to him. The Bills just went off. The line for the player props for Josh Allen was over under 1.5 touchdowns. Yeah, he had that in the first quarter. That was pretty easy for him. 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. This was the first time in NFL history that a team did not have a turnover and did not have a punt. And I think there was one other factor to that, and I can't remember exactly, but no punts, no turnovers. They a pretty much perfect game. Every time they had the ball, they scored a touchdown. I mean,
Josh Allen had like four incompletions or something like that.
21 completions, 5 touchdowns. What?
300 yards on 21 completions. Like that's
God.
QBR 157.6. It was
the only thing that could stop them from scoring was the half ending or the game ending. Like that was it. Time.
Father time.
Mercy rule.
Please Father time is undefeated.
For the love of God.
So let me ask you guys this. Is Josh Allen the quarterback 1 in fantasy in all formats?
No.
I don't know. I mean, you
one
can
game.
Talk about it. It's not one game. He's the QB1 on that
game. I'm saying after that one game, I'm not changing my mind.
2 years in a row.
It's the second year in a row that he's finished as the QB1. I mean, he's you guys are acting like it's not a conversation,
Listen,
but
I made a trade in Dynasty. I made a trade in Dynasty last season, not this season, but the previous season. I traded Patrick Mahomes for Josh Allen plus a package, and I got a lot of heat for it. And now I'm pretty freaking happy about it. But Patrick Mahomes is still my quarterback 1 in Dynasty. Having said that, Josh Allen's number 2.
Josh, I think looking back, the best trade I've ever made in Dynasty, it's a 1 QB league, but I needed a quarterback desperately. And at the time I was upset about it, but I traded Courtland Sutton.
Famous podcaster, Courtland Allen.
That I mix up every time. Go check out Indie Hackers if you haven't. It's a great podcast. Courtland Allen is the host. But nothing to do with football. But I traded Courtland Sutton for Josh Allen straight up in a 1 quarterback dynasty league.
That's pretty intense.
It's worked out pretty well since then. But to answer your question, Jay, I don't think I currently have him as my QB1 overall. But he's in the conversation. He has to be. Like you said, he finished not just this year, but you guys filled in the blanks last year as well as the number 1 quarterback overall. How can you not at least say he deserves to be talked about there? But it's top heavy. There's a couple guys I think you could all talk about being in that number 1 spot. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Like I wouldn't fault anyone for having any of those guys number 1 overall.
Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Yeah. I think you could put him in that conversation as well, for sure.
Yeah. And that's why go ahead.
I was going to say, and apparently Joe Burrow, if some of you guys are taking Burrow over Herbert as well.
Yeah. And that's why I think you really have to look at things, I would have Josh Allen as QB1, but it's splitting hairs, just like we were talking about with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I think you have to look at these things more of tiers versus, ranking players, 1 through whatever, because you're going to be much better off in the long term. You're looking at tiers or globs, as we like to say on here, versus worrying about, this guy's number 2 and this guy's number 1. So, he's
Can we all agree that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are in the same tier?
Yeah, absolutely. They're in the same tier.
Okay.
Would you throw Kyler in that tier too?
I would
not.
For Dynasty?
I would
not.
I would.
The rushing.
Josh, would you?
No. You just named a tier. You just named that's a tier for me in Dynasty. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
That's fair. I still
then there's a glob for me.
And then it's Zach Wilson.
And then it goes down. And then it's Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert's the closest one that's getting in there.
Okay.
The top one for me.
No Kyler Lamar getting close up there.
Well, Devin Singletary.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Not at the moment.
Well, Devin Singletary continued his strong play, 81 yards, 16 rushes, and he scored 2 touchdowns. He's somebody, he helped a lot of people win fantasy championships, myself included. He really turned it on once they decided to make him the guy. Zach Moss had 1 carry in this game. I don't even know if Burrito was active. So Devin Singletary going into next year, if they're committed to him being the guy, I think he's somebody who could be, as I like to say, a rock solid running back too. If they're committed to giving him the ball. I was reading an article that they said that towards the end of the season, the Bills decided to start using a 6 offensive lineman a lot more, and that's helped with the running game. And that's what seemed to have unlocked Devin Singletary. So what do you guys think? Running back 2 going into next season for Devin Singletary?
No. And I'm high on Devin Singletary. I think that they are going to give the workload to Devin Singletary. But when we're looking at the top running backs, once they're all healthy, that's another thing you have to consider. Right now, he is a running back too, because there's a lot of people not playing right now, including like J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, just guys like this that are we're going to have above Devin Singletary when it comes down to Leonard Fournette. So he's not. I mean, because like going to next year, Elijah Mitchell, right? I'm taking over Devin Singletary at the moment.
Oh yeah.
So
I have a healthy.
Oh, absolutely.
So
and I'm not saying like a high end RB2. I'm more of a middle to back end RB2.
But like the funny thing is, he'll probably end up as a running back too at the end of the year, right?
Right.
I just don't know if he has that upside with Josh Allen being a goal line running back himself of sorts, taking away yards. I like Devin Singletary, and he's probably still going to be a value, even though everything I'm saying here.
And I have a hard time believing that the Bills are fully committed to Singletary in this backfield. Like this is one of the teams where I'm watching in the offseason. If the backfield stays in the general shape that it is now with the players that they have, then Devin Singletary is probably in that back end RB2, high end RB3 range. But they could draft a guy, they could get a guy in free agency. It doesn't seem like kind of back that they're committing to or building around or not going to add another piece to their backfield because they have him. So I'm watching the roster of this Bills team. I'm watching the moves they make, and that's gonna change Devin Singletary's value for me by a lot, probably.
Could we play like a little name game here with Devin Singletary?
I was just about to.
So Jay's got one.
He's got some loaded up.
Yep.
So would you guys rather have
Damian Harris?
Joe? Yeah, I got a couple. You just switch off here. Damian Harris or Devin Singletary next year?
That's such a good question.
I'll take Harris, but it's close.
Singletary for me.
I'd take Harris.
Jay? I think I'm going to go Harris. I like Harris a lot. Josh, you're the one who got me on Harris.
I love Damian Harris. I think I'm more worried about Ramondre Stevenson taking carries and yards and receptions away than I am Zach Moss at this point. I do think Devin Singletary is the guy, to be honest.
Yeah, Jay, you got one?
Oh, is that? Yeah, I got a couple. Chase Edmonds or Devin Singletary
for next season.
Mm-hmm.
Just for next season, I'll take Singletary.
Just next season.
Oh,
assuming James Conner's there, it's definitely Devin Singletary.
That was my thought process as well, Joshua.
What about Michael Carter or Devin Singletary?
Devin Singletary.
Simon?
I'm going to go Michael Carter. What we saw from him this year, those flashes were just unreal in the games where he was heavily targeted, showed that skill set. I've seen enough of the upside there that I'm going to take the slightly riskier player next season for the potential payoff. I think the upside's higher with Carter, but the downside, we saw it as well before he got injured. It's not pretty in that Jets offense sometimes.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, Simon pretty much said exactly how I think of it as well. Singletary's a safer pick. Michael Carter has the higher upside. Give me Michael Carter ever so slightly. I got
I'm with you, Josh. I would go Singletary because of the offense. I think I would rather have the running back attached to the more high powered offense here.
That's fair.
Now you asked me a dynasty question there. It gets a little bit tougher, but for next season, Devin Singletary.
JL, I have one that you're gonna like here: Rashad Penny or Devin Singletary.
Dynasty or next season?
Rashad Penny's contract's up, I believe. So
it is. Yeah.
So are we assuming that he's signing back?
Let's say he's back
and Russ is there, because that's another factor, right? So Russ is there, Rashad Penny's there. That's
Devin
tough.
Singletary.
Give me Devin Singletary because of that uncertainty. Yeah,
it is Devin Singletary.
Did you say uncertainty?
I almost did. I may have, honestly. I can't say whether I did or not. Did not.
All good.
Yeah, I'm going Singletary too.
Man, that is a good one though. I'm just like, with all of the disappointment Rashad Penny has caused, I'm fully expecting him to sign with a new team where it looks like he's going to be the lead back.
And
everyone gets fully bought in, and then he's like the lead back for the first drive, and then never again for the rest of the season.
You have no idea.
The Mike Davis of this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But even worse because Mike Davis at least had a season. He had a full season where he was good. This is like a few games, and it's like, oh God.
Mike Davis
fell off at the end with the Panthers too,
where he was real good.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just see that happening. It seems like that's the only reasonable outcome for Rashad Penny going forward.
I can't fully buy back in because of all the pain from before. I'm too afraid of being hurt again. I'm just expecting for the floor to fall out beneath me.
Do you have any idea how many times I bought back into Josh Gordon? Every time.
Every time.
Every single time. He never went back into the league, and I didn't pick him up in a fantasy league. Like, not once. It's been 100% of the time, and he's done it every time. So Jail's just commit.
He's on your dynasty rosters right now.
Yeah.
How many rosters do you have Josh Gordon on right now, Simon?
Honestly, not too many. It's like 2 that I have Josh Gordon on right now. But
that's too many. Let's be
kind of got a good point.
All right. So looking at the receivers for the Bills, Dawson Knox, like we were talking about earlier, I won't dive too much into him because we discussed it earlier, but led the team in targets, 5 catches, 5 targets, 2 touchdowns. Had a great game. Stephon Diggs and Devin Singletary. That's the other thing with Singletary too. I'm getting a little action in the passing game. It wasn't a lot of yards, but 3 catches and 13 yards. That's an extra 4 points. That's almost a touchdown in fantasy scoring. So that makes a difference. Gabe Davis, 3 targets. Emmanuel Sanders, 3 targets. Both pretty much had the same type of line. Not really a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the receivers. So unless you guys have anything, I'm going to jump to the New England side of the ball.
Man, the one thing I do want to say is Stephon Diggs started the year kind of quietly compared to like what people were expecting. And I feel like that narrative, that kind of storyline around it being sort of a down year for Stephon Diggs never really left. There's been this kind of like cloud over the season, yet he finished the year on fire, finishes the wide receiver 7 overall. It just seems like people aren't valuing him as high as they should. That's a player I'm curious to see where his ADP is going to end up going into redraft next season, because he might be a value. He's one of these guys that has the top 3 overall wide receiver upside, tied to Josh Allen, had a slow start to the season and then showed up finishing as the wide receiver 7. This is a guy you might be able to grab after some a little bit later than you should be able to in drafts next year.
I'm with you, Simon.
And that's kind of what scares. That's what scares me going into next year with Cooper Kupp. I think the reason that people were disappointed in Stephon Diggs because he was drafted at a ceiling. The reason he was so valuable last year was because he was drafted as a wide receiver 2, rounds 4, 5, 6, something along those lines. That's why Cooper Kupp was so valuable. Not only, he was the wide receiver 1, but you didn't have to pay that price tag for him in drafts. So that's what, Josh, I know you said that, you would take him as the first wide receiver off the board. Can't argue with that, but that's the type of thing that scares me. You're drafting Cooper Kupp at his ceiling. People drafted Stephon Diggs at his ceiling this year. So, you just have to be careful. It's all about value. When you draft players at their ceiling, that's when
you want me to fight you?
Trap of being disappointed.
I'm gonna get punched in the face.
You want to go, bro? You want to go?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Stephon Diggs has never had a season like Cooper Kupp just had. It's not even close, really, when it comes down to it. Cooper Kupp had the best fantasy wide receiver season I think we've ever seen. And I don't think I am being that crazy saying that.
No. It's not hyperbolic.
It's not. Yeah.
But I think just for me, I love Cooper Kupp. He helped bring me a couple championships, but I'm just worried that because of that, his ADP is going to be just too high for me.
I think what you're saying stands regardless of if Cooper Kupp repeats.
Ceiling.
Yeah, it repeats. Even if he repeats next year, he's still being drafted at his ceiling, right? So it's not that value. You're still going to be happy he's on your team. But the point you're making is the value helps. Like your reaction to their season is highly dependent on what kind of value they were in the drafts. Whether you spent that early first.
I'm not saying don't draft Cooper Kupp. That's not what I'm saying.
Jay hates Cooper Kupp.
Jay thinks Cooper Kupp is poop.
Jay doesn't even use cups. He drinks out of his hands because he hates him so
much. That's why I call him Cooper Kupp.
Do you think he is the wide receiver 1 going into next season?
No.
Yes. Cooper Kupp, I would put him at wide receiver 1. It's the same team, same quarterback, same connection with Matthew Stafford. He did it consistently through the entire year. It wasn't like a insane 5-game stretch, then all of a sudden he fell off. I don't see how you I don't see how I can move him below my top wide receiver in redraft for next season.
I'm drafting running backs over top of them going into next season, so he's not going to be my number 1 overall player.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But just wide receiver.
He's definitely, that's fair. I can't see it not being.
No,
Is he? Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to do on the topic.
The only guy I would consider is if Aaron Rodgers goes back to Green Bay, it would be really hard for me to take Cooper Kupp over Devontae Adams, even with the season that Kupp had. That's the only guy that would even be in the conversation for me.
That's the
for
only
next
guy
year, strictly next year.
I could consider as well. Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers. And even then, I'm still taking Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Before we move on from the Bills pass catchers as well, there was one more thing I wanted to say. We all know the Patriots MO. They shut down your top weapon, right? So they were focused on Stephon Diggs in this game, did a fairly good job of shutting him down. But what was really encouraging for me was seeing, Jay, you mentioned it earlier, or maybe it was Josh who mentioned it. That second read, that player that they went to once Stephon Diggs was shut down, wasn't available, was Dawson Knox in this game. He was the player that Josh Allen looked to, and that was a good sign because they have other receivers on this team, right? And they were involved. Isaiah McKenzie, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley. These were players that were involved, but I liked that Knox was the next guy up, that he was the one that Josh Allen was looking to, especially in the end zone. It made me that kind of presence from him whenever Stephon Diggs wasn't producing at that super high level was really encouraging for Dawson Knox value going forward for me.
Shout out to Gabriel Davis. Shout out to Gabriel Davis in a dynasty context. You're probably not going to draft him in many leagues in redraft, but I could see him taking the third-year wide receiver step next year and becoming a legitimate part of this offense.
Was he undrafted?
I'm looking it up right now.
This season?
No,
in the NFL draft?
The NFL draft.
No. He was a fourth-round pick, I want to say.
Fourth round? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. The 128th pick overall in the 2020 NFL draft, Gabriel Davis.
Good pull, Josh. Good pull.
Yeah, let's go. So he's a big guy. And, I like Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, I do too.
And Emmanuel Sanders only signed a 1-year deal with the Bills. So Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, he's Emmanuel Sanders. He's older. He's an older.
He's an older. Guys, on the New England side of this ball.
He's back.
Yeah.
There,
on the New England side of the ball, first of all, we talked about Damien Harris.
We did talk about Damien Harris. Jay, we were leading into the New England side of the ball if you want to jump back in right there.
We talked about Damien Harris versus Devin Singletary real fast. Just compare their stats lines this game. I know this game's script, but just do it real fast. Look at Ramondre Stevenson there too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I was just about to bring that up, before I froze up there. Damien Harris, like you said, 9 rushes. Ramondre Stevenson, the Rhino, 8 rushes. Both not too great yards per carry, 3.3 for Harris, 3.4 for Stevenson. Neither could get really much. This whole Patriots offense just could not really get anything started. The Bills were just absolutely dominant on both sides of the ball. Absolutely. They just were phenomenal. And hold on, I just have to clap for the Cowboys. Another early exit from the playoffs for the Cowboys.
You bitter Giants fan.
Hey, that's all I've got right now. Okay, that's all I've had for a long time. The Giants have been so terrible. The Cowboys losing is the only thing I have. So
I just like that. I got the 49ers with 3 points. That's all I'm saying.
You did it, Josh.
Yes. With that being said, Ramondre Stevenson did also get the catches. Ramondre Stevenson had 4 targets, 4 catches, 33 yards. Damien Harris only had 1 target. So, Josh, I think, your hesitation on Harris is definitely justified. I'm normally one of those that completely stays away from the New England backfield because they are, as we all know, they're always the committee. They play the matchups. Bill Belichick is the guy who you can never know which running back is going to produce. But honestly, going into next season, I like both Harris and Stevenson. I think they can both be serviceable players. I would rather have them more along the lines of flex plays versus running back 2s. But, if both guys are available, who you taking first, Damien Harris or Ramondre Stevenson? Josh, we'll go with you.
Definitely Damien Harris. No doubt about it. Ramondre Stevenson still has a lot to prove. Damien Harris, I just look at the finishes this year. I know Ramondre Stevenson is a rookie, could still grow, but Damien Harris, 8th in standard leagues, 14th highest scoring running back in PPR leagues. Ramondre Stevenson, not even close. So Damien Harris is still the guy for them going into next season, but they're going to eat into each other.
How tall do you think Ramondre Stevenson can get?
He can get huge.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
Will that help or hurt if he's still growing?
He is an inch taller than Damien Harris. So
he would just get even taller. Damn.
Yeah. Infinite. I would take Damian Harris, but it is so close. It is very close. I'm really excited for Ramondre Stevenson's career.
I'll go Damian Harris as well, and it's not particularly close. I think he's still the lead back. I think this is like a 65-35 kind of scenario, and I'll take the 65 guy first.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, and I'm sure you'll agree with me here. Like at ADP, I'd probably rather have Stevenson. If they're both on the board, give me Harris, but I think Stevenson's going to be one of those guys that's cheap later in the drafts, and that could return some value. What do you guys think there?
Yeah,
maybe. It depends how it pans out, because I could see Ramondre Stevenson climb up draft boards a little bit. He has a couple good preseason games there. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm with you. I would not pay a premium for him by any means.
Yes. So Damian Harris, if I'm not paying a 4th round pick for Damian Harris next season. So it depends how high he's getting drafted.
Yep, I'm with you, Josh. And Jay, you are muted down there right now. Anything else on this New England game before we move on?
Not really. Kendrick Bourne had a solid game, but there's really no wide receivers that you're really interested in for fantasy purposes. I will say if you fade the tight end position next season, I really like Hunter Henry, even though he did not have a good game here. He seemed to have a connection with Mac Jones, and I think that's going to continue. There you go, FanDuel, Daddy FanDuel. I love it. I like Hunter Henry. If you fade tight end going into next season, I think he's somebody who could be practically free and return some value.
I like Hunter Henry as well next season.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's a touchdown or bust kind of guy. At least this year it seemed like he was. But of that tight end glob, he seems to be top tier when it comes to most likely to get a touchdown.
He's a guy you just like leave your draft. He's like your last pick, kind of, maybe, hopefully. If he's climbing up draft boards, I want nothing to do with him, though.
Yeah.
Because we're going to move on to our next game, the first game of today, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs coming out on top 31-15 in this one.
Yeah, this game was ugly. It was very ugly. The Eagles, I don't think anyone was surprised. The Eagles did not play very well. Bucs came out on top. Yeah. The total on this game is 47 and a half.
Casual shot at all Eagles fans. To no one's surprise, the Eagles played poorly.
Yeah, were you really hopeful?
I think actually a lot of people thought the Eagles were going to make this a close game.
I was muted, but I just have to give it a round of applause for the Eagles losing too. Like, I just got to be that bitter fan. It was a good day for me.
Lights out for the NFC. Good night. The Bucs
and the Giants have a great draft pick.
And the Giants have a great draft pick. The Bucs were favored by 7.5 points in this game. Let's start on the Eagles side of this ball. Jalen Hurts did not look good. He didn't look good in this game. He was struggling. His passing game at 23 completions of 43 attempts, 258 yards, and a touchdown, 2 interceptions. I'm concerned for Jalen Hurts. I have concern for Jalen Hurts going into next year. I don't know what's missing in this offense, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. What do you feel like is the missing piece in this offense? What is Philadelphia missing that's going to take them from being this team that has flashes to where they look really good, and then all of a sudden it all starts to crumble like it does today?
I think they need a good possession receiver. I think they need someone who's not that big play guy. They need a Tyler Boyd type player on the field, a Hunter Renfrow type player, someone who's going to work across the middle, get those easy passes, run clean routes. I know they've got Dallas Goedert filling some of that role, but it seems like the primary
sounds like you're describing Devonta Smith.
Smith. he's been a speed guy for them a bit this year, right?
Yeah. They do,
and it
need
seems like
another
that's
weapon.
How they want to use him. Yeah,
they need another weapon. Outside of Devonta Smith. I agree.
Yeah. So, Devonta Smith had 4 receptions, 11 targets, and 60 yards. It was a pretty quiet game for him. Dallas Goedert had more receptions, 6 receptions for 92 yards on 12 targets. It seems like Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert are kind of their only 2 weapons there.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Jay. I'm concerned long term with Hurts. I think his production has been masked because he's been a fantasy superstar. The rushing has been phenomenal, but he showed today, Philadelphia wasn't able to run the ball. Tampa Bay is one of the best defenses against the run. Is he going to ever be the guy? Lamar Jackson, it was showed that he could throw the ball in college. Hurts didn't show it as much as Lamar did. I'm concerned that he's never going to be that guy. I think that they have so many holes that they should use these 3 picks. Simon, stop. Next season to shore up, the offensive line, even though it's been phenomenal, it's getting older. Who's to say that they don't? Olders. Who's to say that they don't use one of those 3 picks on a quarterback? And I'm really concerned long term, dynasty wise. I would consider trading Jalen Hurts this offseason.
Josh, let me ask you: if you are the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles,
yes,
what moves are you making this offseason? What are you going to try and do are you keeping Jalen Hurts? And if so, what positions are you targeting in the draft? They got a bunch of picks in the first round of this draft.
Absolutely. So I'm absolutely keeping Jalen Hurts. I'm running with him next season. He proved enough to at least give him one more year as a quarterback. He's shown so much upside, and I feel like he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. He didn't look great. But this guy's still young, right? And they were in a playoff game against what I perceive to be one of the best teams in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles want to win the game by running the ball and playing good defense. They got behind early in this game, and Tampa Bay just ran away with it. They weren't able to establish the run game. They had to pass the ball. That's not the way they're going to be able to win games, especially with Jalen Hurts. Yeah. So I don't want to put all the fault in Jalen Hurts whatsoever. The defense also needs to play a little bit better. So they got, like you said, 3 first-round picks, best player available. Just load this team up with talent, surround it with Jalen Hurts, and I think it's a bright future, honestly. They got good pieces.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it absolutely was not all Jalen Hurts. Pretty much all the running backs were pretty lackluster. Miles Sanders at 7 carries for 16 yards. That's abysmal. Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell each had 1 carry. Boston Scott had a pretty big one. His 1 carry was pretty big. It's 34 yards, and it was a touchdown. So that's great. But for this running back core here, you have Boston Scott, you got Miles Sanders, you got Kenneth Gainwell. I don't know if Jordan Howard is going to be on a contract for next season. How are you feeling about Miles Sanders going into next season? Where are you at? Let me get a temperature check on Miles Sanders for going into next season.
I feel pretty good about Miles Sanders going into next season. I feel like the games where he's been given the full workload, he's looked pretty good. This is a run-first team, right? This is a team that wants to run the ball a ton. So I'm feeling pretty good if he can stay healthy. So probably like a back-end RB1, high-end RB2 in my eyes for Miles Sanders going into next year.
What about you, Jay?
I am forever a fan of Miles Sanders. I think he's honestly one of the most electric backs in the league. But the problem is he doesn't get that workload. 7 carries, and granted, I know they were behind, but they want to run the ball, use your best running back, and they seem to not want to do that. He's always among the league leaders in yards per carry. I'm looking up his yards per carry right now. Let me see if I could. 4.9 yards per carry. So he can take to the house every single time. If they were to commit, I think he's a high end running back 2 talent. I don't think he's a running back 1. But I worry that the Eagles are never going to give him the full workload.
What about you, Josh? How you feeling about Miles Sanders?
Back end running back 2 for me. Guys. I'm sorry. David Montgomery over him for me. Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins.
For next season or dynasty?
Yeah, both. I'm taking all these guys over Miles Sanders, which probably lands him closer to the back end, maybe mid-level.
No, I'm right there with you, Josh. I'm probably back end running back 2 for Miles Sanders. I'm not confident that it's going to continue. I think he has shown flashes. I'm not confident in the coaching staff that they're going to keep using him. So let's play a little name game with Miles Sanders in dynasty context.
Okay.
So in dynasty, who would you rather have, Miles Sanders or Josh Jacobs?
I already said Josh Jacobs.
Did we do the Miles Sanders one?
No. We didn't do that.
He just said it a second ago.
Yeah, that's what I just said a second ago. But I would go with Josh Jacobs.
Simon?
I'll go Sanders, but it's very close.
Jay?
Miles Sanders. It's very, very close.
I would go Josh Jacobs. What about Elijah Mitchell? Split the room. Elijah Mitchell or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Cuckoo.
This is
I like
fun.
that one.
This is not fun. This is not fun at all.
That's a really close one.
I think I got to go Miles Sanders.
Josh?
You go first, JL.
All right, I'll go first. I'll go Elijah Mitchell. At this point, I think I would take Elijah Mitchell over Josh Jacobs too. But that's a different question. Josh, Elijah Mitchell or Miles Sanders?
He's in the same tier with Miles Sanders. But I'm going to go with Elijah Mitchell.
Woo! Split the room again. Top half versus bottom half. Last one, Leonard Fournette or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Miles
Jay?
Sanders.
Okay. 2 Miles Sanders, Jay?
Miles Sanders.
I'd go Leonard Fournette. Let's go.
Hey! In redraft next year, if Leonard Fournette's with Tom Brady and the Bucks, Leonard Fournette for sure. I mean, like, it's going to be hard not to draft him as a running back 1.
Yeah, I'm with you. So Devonta Smith, moving on to the receiving side of the Eagles here. Devonta Smith, as we mentioned, 4 receptions for 60 yards. He just wasn't really able to get it going in this game. You could see some frustration throughout the game that I honestly think the Bucs defense just played really well. They're good defense, and they were able to shut him down. They were able to shut Jalen Hurts down. They were putting a ton of pressure on Jalen Hurts, which flushing him out of the pocket, which made it really difficult to make some of these passes. And so Devonta Smith, he's pretty decent rookie season. I would say probably more in line with like historically what we've seen rookie wide receiver rookie seasons look like. Versus
it's a really good rookie season. Yeah.
It's a really good, it's a good rookie season. It wasn't blow your pants off like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson.
Don't say that.
But
within his nips.
You twisted my nips to say that. But for dynasty purposes, I think a lot of people are bullish on Devonta Smith. A lot of people, see the upside in Devonta Smith and his talent. Where do you guys see Devonta Smith being drafted in dynasty formats going forward? Where does, after this rookie season, are you higher or lower based off your expectations coming into the season on Devonta Smith? Let me ask that.
Definitely higher than I was going into the season. Yeah, I'm with Josh. His value's gone up. I think there was some like hesitancy around him. Is he big enough? Can he convert to the NFL? Is that size going to be a problem? I know people were going wild on Twitter about if he was because he's a little guy. But he came out there and he showed up. So I think his value went up. He's probably a wide receiver 2 in these dynasty startups. I would imagine he's going around like some of these older guys that have done a little longer, like a Mike Evans and Amari Cooper. That's probably where Devonta Smith is getting drafted next to those 2 guys.
Would you take him over Cooper? Dynasties?
Absolutely not. I would take Cooper and Evans over Devonta Smith.
What about you, Jay? Would you take Cooper or Devonta Smith?
I'd take Cooper.
Josh?
I'd take Devonta Smith.
I would too.
It's fair. We are splitting the room today, man.
Josh,
this has been a fun one.
Let's go, JL.
Yes.
Don't punch
him in the head.
I prefer it. That's how I get encouraged. Josh, it looked like you were about to say something before Simon did.
The hats versus the non-hats.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Hats.
And the handsomes versus the not handsomes.
Yeah, we're the handsomes.
I wasn't really going to say anything specific. I was just answering your question too. Yes, I think he has gained value over the course of the season. I agree with Simon. He's proved a lot. He's a back end number 2 wide receiver in dynasty formats. He's definitely a top 24 wide receiver for me.
You're taking Waddle ahead of him?
Oh yeah.
I'm taking Waddle ahead of him.
And of course, Jamar Chase.
Absolutely.
That is a non-question. What about Elijah Moore? You're taking him above Elijah Moore?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take Smith ahead of Moore, but it's very close. Oh man, that one hurts my feelings. Oh, I might go Moore. Come back to me next week. I need to do some more stuff. Now, guys, what about I know the future for Calvin Ridley is uncertain, but it's looking like he's planning on coming back to the league, maybe with a different team. Calvin Ridley or Devonta Smith in dynasty formats?
I'll take Calvin Ridley.
I'll take Ridley too if he's coming back. Right
now the trade hit. That's what I was thinking.
I couldn't pull the trigger either way.
I was going to say, I want to say Calvin Ridley, but you just don't know what situation he's going to wind up in.
I'd rather have Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you
too.
there.
I think I would too. Yeah. All right, moving on to the other side of this ball, onto the Buccaneers.
Lace's side.
Tom Brady, he doesn't look like he's lost a step at all.
I know this
he just gets better. I know this is always the storyline, but I'm sitting there watching the game today, and I'm just thinking, at what point does Tom Brady retire? Like, at what point is he like, all right, like now is a good time? Because if you're good enough to compete,
when he stops playing really well,
that's what. So like, at what point do we start to see that? Like, can we expect? If that's the case, if that's it's gonna take for him to retire, I can see him playing for 4 more years at least.
Or he could just get bored. Like, let's say he wins the Super Bowl. He's like, God, this is just too easy now.
Tom Brady
time. He loves it.
Tom Brady could win 100 Super Bowls and say, I want 101. Tom Brady will never get bored winning.
That dude, it's a regular season game and they're up 40 and they miss a pass and he's over there screaming and yelling like he is nuts. Face. Yeah, smashing tablets on the ground.
My wife thinks he's handsome too.
I posted a poll on Twitter a little while ago today, a couple hours ago, and it doesn't have a ton of votes, but is Tom Brady a top 5 quarterback next season if he's still with the Bucs? And 81% of people said yes.
I voted no. I voted on that poll.
That's fine.
I think I'm with them.
I think he is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy next season.
I'm just like, I'm going through my rankings and I feel like it's going to be hard to put him in top 5, but I don't think it's wrong. Know what I mean?
Next season, Joe Burrow or Tom Brady.
I know that's the question. That's the question that everyone's going to have. And
it's like
Tom
Herbert.
Brady.
It's Herbert, Brady.
In Dynasty, it's not a question at all.
Right.
Brady, I don't even want to touch him. But next season,
I don't know. Tom Brady could play another 15 years.
Well, it's not that I don't want to touch him. That was an incorrect statement.
Definitely want to touch him.
Probably
can we put my hands all over him in Dynasty. I digress. I'm sorry.
No. So yeah, I don't know if I would take Burrow. I think I would still probably take Tom Brady.
Who do you want to touch
next season? I want to touch them all.
In Dynasty.
I want to touch them all. So Tom Brady, if are you guys expecting him to play at least 3 more years?
At least,
sure. I'm not betting against Tom Brady.
Yeah. If you made me bet $1 million one way or another, I would say, yeah, I'm with Josh.
Yeah. I mean, what if he makes it to 50? Like, that's gonna be so silly. He's gonna have 50 years old playing football. Anyway, with and then that got me. This whole line of thought got me then like into a tangent of like, well, if he keeps playing, Gronk's gonna keep playing, and that means Gronk's gonna still be a relevant tight end for fantasy. Is Gronk? Do you guys think that Gronk's value and he's gonna like his? Let me rephrase this. Is Gronk going to retire if Tom retires, or when Tom retires?
I think Gronk retires when Tom retires, and I think there's a very real world where he retires a year or 2 before. His body has taken more of a beating than Tom Brady's has. He's already had issues with injury. He's talked about it publicly, where in the past, if he had to like miss a game for injury, sometimes he would say like, oh, thank God my body needed that break. I think Gronk's body gives up on him before Tom Brady's does in an NFL. Before Tom Brady. I think Gronk's Brady gives up before Tom's Brady does.
I definitely think he retires a year or 2 before Brady, 100%. Tom Brady, both of them.
Everybody's Brady.
I could see Gronk being out there still.
You think? And that has implications for his fantasy value as well. I mean, he looked good today. So
yeah.
Guys,
want me to just set the show off the rails real fast?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Who is going to finish as a better tight end, Gronk or Kelsey?
Next season?
No.
Their career?
Oh, career-wise.
Yeah. Real fast. Just it's Gronk right now, but
it's
Kelsey.
Gronk. Are we taking like postseason accolades and like I think no one passes
fantasy-wise, I think you almost have to go with Kelsey.
Yeah.
But because of accolades and touchdowns and everything Gronk has done in the postseason, Gronk is a greater tight end. And I digress. I'm sorry. I don't want to actually get in this conversation.
4 Super Bowls. So, I'll go Gronk as well.
I was thinking about this today. And I looked up their stats. Kelsey has a lot more catches in a lot less seasons.
Wow. That's interesting. Touchdowns. It's an interesting question, Josh.
Yeah.
Guys, we are moving on to our last game of the day before we preview Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers taking down the Dallas Cowboys 23-17. And I said at the beginning of the show, I can't remember if I said it before we started or right at the beginning. It was right at the beginning. I remember now. I think the 49ers were the team that I underestimated the most going into this playoffs. They got it on both sides of the ball. That defense is fantastic. And they played a lot of this game missing some of their best pass rushers as well. There were some injuries, players that didn't come back out. I know Bosa missed a good chunk of time in this game. But the defense still looked fantastic. And that offense with weapons like Debo, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, like it's coming together. This is a good team. Now, I think they still lose to the Packers in the next round. But this 49ers team is looking pretty good. Would any of you guys
game?
I think it'll be a good game. Would any of you guys take the 49ers over the Packers based on what we've seen so far, or no?
Let me see what points they're getting, and I might take the spread.
Gotcha. Might take the spread, but no money line. You're not taking the 49ers straight up over
I think they have a shot, but I think the Packers are the best, most well-rounded team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I also think the 49ers winning here was a gift to whoever wins tonight's game as well, right? It sends them to the Buccaneers instead of to the Packers, and I believe the Packers are the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are by far the best team. But if you
no one wants to play the Bucs right now,
and no one wants to play the Buccaneers. You're right. The Bucs are high. No one wants to play the Bucs or Packers. The 1 and 2 seed in both divisions are pretty tough to get through. Yeah. So we'll see, but I would rather play the Bucs than the Packers right now.
Me too.
That's where I stand right there. Debo Samuel, doing it again as a running back. He had 10 carries and a rushing touchdown, and a very pretty rushing touchdown at that. It wasn't just a goal line carry. He found that hole. Shout out to the offensive line and all the people blocking that created that for him. But man, he's just unreal. In a dynasty context, guys, where do you have Debo Samuel? Jay, is he a top 5 dynasty wide receiver, top 10? And I don't even think I need to say another option outside of that.
He's no doubt top 10 for me. Top 5 would be hard. I mean, I take Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb over him. I mean, AJ Brown or Debo. I mean, that's the question. If
I'd take AJ Brown.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think I can put him in the top 5, but I mean, is he how much longer is he be classified as a wide receiver before they change him to running back with all the carries that he's getting?
Cooper Kupp or Debo?
In Dynasty, I'm assuming.
Dynasty, yeah.
Now that's tough, right? Josh, I saw you making a face up there. Where are you going? Are you going Cooper Kupp or
I'll
Debo?
Go Cooper Kupp. I'll take Debo Samuel over DK Metcalf.
Okay. Wow. I'm with you. FanDuel said Debo is both wide receiver 1 and RB1.
Facts.
Yeah.
And QB1.
Got to keep in mind, I say it all the time. Debo Samuel has been so injured throughout his career. Back to college, he's been riddled with injuries, so just a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, but he's had a fairly healthy year this year, right?
Yes.
Since he's been back, and I know the Ballers have talked about this a lot. Like Frank Gore was known as being injury prone until he wasn't. He was an injury prone guy through college, his first couple years in the NFL, and then he stopped. So sometimes players just get injury after injury, and then it's bad luck.
Found the youth, and the rest is history.
You're right. Maybe Debo just needs to call up Frank Gore over there. Because Jimmy Garoppolo, he did what he needed to in this game, and it wasn't too much. But I think that's what the 49ers are expecting of him, right? Just go out there, don't lose the game for us. You don't have to win it for us either. You can trust your weapons. You can get it done. What do you guys think of Trey Lance in this offense next year? So we've seen what Jimmy G does. We've seen little pieces of Trey Lance, but how are you guys viewing Trey Lance as like a fantasy option for next season? Because this is a great offense that he's stepping into.
For the record, I have not seen Trey Lance's little pieces, but I will say if he is given the keys to this offense, I think he's a QB1. I think he's shown when he's on the field with the rushing upside. I absolutely love it. The weapons, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. You throw any running back there, but Elijah Mitchell's been fantastic. I wouldn't draft him as a QB1, but I definitely think that he has the potential to wind up the end of the season as one.
Josh, what about you?
Yeah, if he, like Jay said, if he's given the keys to the offense, we know 100% they're throughout the offseason, they're planning on him being the starter.
Garoppolo's traded.
Yeah. Garoppolo's out of there. He will be a back-end quarterback 1 for me. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. There was one other player on this offense that I did want to talk about. So the 49ers moving on to the next round, like we said, but Brandon Ayuk was someone that people were starting to give up on going into this year, right? He was super hyped up, drafted him high, and then at the beginning of the season, it looked like it was a lost cause. He wasn't being used, but he's turned it on over the back half. So I'm curious how we're valuing Brandon Ayuk in a dynasty context right now. So we're going to play a little bit of a name game to figure it out. The first player we're going to start with is Mike Williams. So JL, we'll come to you first. Mike Williams or Brandon Ayuk in a dynasty league? Who would you prefer?
Are we assuming Mike Williams goes back to the Chargers?
Yeah, let's assume he's with the Chargers.
Mike Williams is 27. He's our age.
Ayuk's 23.
Ayuk's 23. Oh, gosh. I guess I would take Ayuk at this point. They're close enough that age gives them the edge, in my opinion.
Age gives them the edge. Josh, what about you?
I agree. I would take Brandon Ayuk over Mike Williams in a dynasty startup.
Yeah, it's the age is the tiebreaker. The talent's pretty equal. Situation's pretty equal, but give me Ayuk based on age.
I think Mike Williams is a better receiver, all things considered. But fantasy-wise, it's just the performance isn't quite there as much. So
I'm with you, JL. And I agree with you guys. Now, here's another one. Josh, we'll come to you first on this one. Marquise Hollywood Brown or Brandon Ayuk? Who are you preferring in dynasty?
In a dynasty league?
Yeah.
So with the comeback of Rashad Bateman as well.
That's where I think this gets tricky.
You kind of have to consider it. It's just I think Rashad Bateman looked really good at the end of the year. I think this is actually really close, and I put Brandon Ayuk and Marquise Brown in a tier. But listen, I'm a Ravens fan. Hollywood Brown and Lamar Jackson are like best friends. As long as Lamar Jackson's the quarterback, which he will be, Hollywood Brown will be good. I'll take Hollywood Brown.
Jay, what about you?
Yeah, it's really close, but I'm gonna give the nod to Hollywood ever so slightly. He's, who's to say that Ayuk won't go back in the doghouse again for some strange reason because Shanahan is Shanahan. It's close. I mean, you could ask me tomorrow and I could go Ayuk, but I lean that relationship. We see it with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Having that relationship with the quarterback is huge. We don't know once Trey Lance comes in who his favorite target's going to be. It might not be Ayuk. It could be somebody else. So
someone else entirely, just a different human. Jail, what about you?
Different person.
This is easier than the last question. I'll go Marquise Brown. I'd rather have Marquise Brown. I think he's above both those guys.
Gotcha. Marquise Brown ahead of both of those guys. We're going to move on to the other side of this ball, the Dallas side over here. Dak Prescott, not his best game overall, but from a fantasy perspective, it was fine. But the Dallas Cowboys offense, I think yet again, this is a disappointing season for them, especially with the improved defense that they had this year, much better than people thought it was going to be. They came out and knocked out in the first round. But Dak Prescott, we've talked about the quarterbacks at length, I think. He seems like the kind of guy that we're looking at, not in that top tier, but in that very next tier, right? With the Justin Herberts, with the Joe Burrows, with the Kyler Murrays. Josh, you were the one I think who put him in that tier earlier. Is he at the back end of that tier for you or floating in the middle?
He is absolutely at the back end. In a dynasty league, I would take all the quarterbacks. Again, I'll go through it again. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, top two for me. Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. And I put him in that tier because next quarterbacks we're talking about a little bit older, we're talking about Matthew Stafford's, Aaron Rodgers, maybe Trevor Lawrence's or Trey Lance's of the world. So that's absolutely a tier, maybe Russell Wilson. So you got to put him in that tier though.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. One more thing before we move on from this Cowboys offense. So there have been whispers and rumblings among the fantasy community all season about the possibility that Tony Pollard is the better back in this offense, that he's the one that you want to roster in dynasty leagues. Jay, do you put any credence or any facts to that? Do you think Tony Pollard's value is approaching that of Zeke's in a dynasty format?
It's hard to say just because, there's everybody, just like the backup quarterbacks, always the fans' favorite player. The backup running back is always fantasy football's favorite player on a team. We haven't seen him get that full workload, be able to handle it. He's obviously had huge games. It's kind of reminding me of Lamar Miller, where, Lamar Miller, when he was in Miami, he was never given the full workload. He had these flashes and it was like, oh, just wait till he's the guy, wait till he gets all the carries.
Now he's in Houston.
Right. Exactly. And I fully bought into Lamar Miller. That's why that name came up, because he burned me bad. I was a big Lamar Miller fan. But it's just in a dynasty format where you're going to have to draft them, I would probably still take Zeke, just because I think you're not going to have to spend a first. I mean, is Zeke still going in the second round of fantasy dynasty drafts? Probably not. So give me the value on Zeke. The hype surrounding Pollard. While I do think at this point in his career, I think he's just as talented as Zeke. I'm not sure he's able to handle that workload if he is a bell cow back. There's too many question marks for me to put him there just yet.
Yeah, I tend to be with you, Jay. I think Zeke is still the primary ball carrier in this offense, as much as people are going to call for it. He had another 1,000-yard season this year on a down year. Like, Zeke is still a great running back. Now, that being said, I think these backs have really complementary skill sets. I think Zeke is a great between the tackles runner. He's great up the middle, and I think Pollard is really good on the outside. He's got that speed that makes him exciting to watch, right? Like, I think that's why people are all in on Pollard, because his skill set is an exciting skill set for a running back, for a viewer. He gets on the outside and he just takes off, and he's elusive. So I think they both have roles in this offense next year. You may see Pollard's grow, but Zeke is still the guy in my eyes. Geek Mill, welcome in. Sup, nerds? What's up to you, freaking nerd? And then we got Albert with a question in here as well. Albert wants to know, is Schultz a top 8 tight end next year? Yes.
That's a perfect question.
Yes. With how the tight end landscape is, I don't know how you don't have him at top 8.
Well, check it out. There's an obvious top 7, or at least top 6. George Kittle, Pitts, Andrews, Kelsey, Waller, Hawkinson, Goedert. And then this is the 8th. And then you're talking about guys like Mike Gesicki and
is Goedert clearly obvious above Schultz is my question.
No. I just think that you're going to see him being drafted in the top 8 tight ends.
Yeah, I would take Goedert over Schultz.
I'll take Schultz over Goedert.
No, I'd take Goedert.
I mean, Schultz has been a focal point of this offense this season. Like he's been heavily involved, even with all of these other receiving options, in a pass-first offense. Like I'm taking Dalton Schultz.
Schultz is a top 8 tight end next year.
And Josh said that's perfect. That's exactly where. Oh, and we forgot one. Pitts. Did we forget to say Pitts, Josh?
I said Pitts. Kittle. Yeah. Kittle, Pitts, Kelsey, Andrews, Waller, Hawkinson, Goedert. That's 7.
Just to check, is everyone taking Pitts ahead of Schultz next year?
Okay.
I'm just FanDuel said Pitts. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page there without making any assumptions. Guys, that is going to be it for this game. Before we jump off, though, I wanted us all to at least make our predictions on this Arizona Cardinals Los Angeles Rams game. The Rams are favored by 3.5 points going into this one. I'll go first instead of putting any of you guys on the spot. I think the Rams win.
I know what I think's happening.
I think the Cardinals cover on this one. So I think it's going to be a close game, and I'll say 24-21 with the under hitting. So the over-under is 49.5 points. I'll take the Rams 24-21. Josh, where are you going?
Yes, it's a 49.5 point over under. I think the Rams win a close one as well. So I'm going to say 28-24. So it's a 3.5 point spread. So I guess I would take the Rams minus 3.5, but I don't feel very confident about that. I said it's going to be 28-24. That's 52 points. Feel a little bit more confident about the over in this one, actually. So I really like the over, and I like the Rams in this game.
There we go. Jay, what about you?
I love the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I do like the Rams, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think they're going to cover. I'm going to go Rams 41, Cardinals 30.
Ooh, that's very over. That's a very high scoring game.
I think it's going to be a high scoring. I think they put
it
on Monday
31 to 30.
31-40.
41 to 30.
Wow.
41 to 30. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be some.
I hope you're right. I was going to say, I hope you're right, Jay. I'm cheering for Jay's answer. JL, what about you?
I'll take the Cardinals to cover.
Woohoo!
Final score, I'll say 31-28.
31-28. Cool. And I said 20. So I was on the Cardinals cover, but it's under. JL on Cardinals cover, but it's over. But all of us picked the Rams. Which I think every time all of us have picked a team, I think that team is lost.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. No.
Is that
2
wrong?
weeks ago, we picked the Packers, and we all bet against ourselves, and that
we won.
You're right. You're right. We broke the curse. We are free of that curse now.
So do we want to do it again? Do we all of us or none of us?
No, we already have one on the board. It's all of us against Jay.
Jay just likes making the sounds.
That's basically
I have yet to have to make any kind of animal sound. Thank you very much.
Oh, we got a Cardinals guess in here, though. Geek Mill in here saying Cardinals over Rams 38-35. So, Geek, this bet's against you
popular.
Now.
The over's popular.
I think I was the only one who took the under.
Yeah.
And Geek was the only one who took the Cardinals on this one. But everyone who answered, guys,
I like a Rams straight up. Just pick them money line, and then I like maybe parlaying that with the over. I might actually do that. Actually, did the game start? The game just started, didn't it? Oh, son of a.
No, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
Oh, that is tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
The game did start, Josh, but a different game entirely.
No, this game started.
Yeah, but Josh was talking about. Yeah, that's tomorrow.
I just missed the joke.
Yeah.
The Rams-Cardinals game starts tomorrow. The Chiefs Steelers started now, and that game has started, guys. I know everyone wants to go.
Freaking NFL Network's playing a replay then of the Cardinals Rams. I'm sitting here and it's up on my screen.
They know what they're doing.
It's just
they know what they're doing. They got people. I guarantee you, there are people out there that are like, "Oh, okay."
We know one of them at least.
I was seriously confused there for a second. Like I'm watching the game, guys. It's 2 minutes in.
I wish no one would have said anything, and it would have gone to the end of the game, and JL would have thought like, the Rams.
I would have been live
tweeting the whole game.
Yeah. Wow, great catch by OBJ there.
And everyone's like, "What talking about?"
JL, the resident trolling everyone? Fortune teller.
It's been a long weekend.
Guys, that is going to be it for us this evening. Go enjoy your Sunday night football. Enjoy the rest of Wild Card weekend, and we will be back next week, same time, same place. So tune in then and come watch us. Before you jump off, though, if you have not done so already, make sure you're following FanDuel across all of their socials. You can find them at FanDuel on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. There's a whole team of awesome content creators helping you guys win some cash. And they're just awesome people. You know what I mean? They're better than us. We're the bottom of the barrel over here, except for JL with that handsome face up there.
I'm top of the barrel. Wow. You're going up and down. I didn't know where
you're not top. You're just not on the bottom. That's
okay. That's fair.
You're the middle of the barrel, like where that first metal stripe is on the outside. Perfect. That's about where you are. I don't know what those things are called. If anyone knows, that is going to be it for us this evening, though, guys. Go enjoy your Sunday night football. We're out of here. Adios, everyone.
Barrel belt.
Love you guys.